Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, comment, and follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, from war to awakening, certified professional coach and spiritual guide, he was transformed from active combat soldier to spiritual seeker. He acts as one of several guides for Kishar, a nonprofit online spiritual community, a community for people to share their journeys and explore their own unique spiritual path. He is an omnist and believes in the validity of most spiritual and religious beliefs around the world. He offers individual spiritual guidance and coaching services as part of the Kishar spiritual community. Let's welcome to the first time to the seance, John Lawyer. Welcome, brother. How you doing?
Doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me on the show. I really love your show, so I appreciate being on.
You're very, very welcome, and thank you. So how? I'm not sure where to start. I'd like to start. Would you feel comfortable moving back into
Sure.
the past a little bit, into the combat sector?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's start there. So how? What was that like?
I joined the Army in I would say 2000, so it was about a year before 9/11, and straight out of high school. And I would join as a counterintelligence special agent. And by the time I got done with training and all that, got to my first duty station at Fort Gordon, Georgia. It was about 6 months before 9/11, and then the war happened, and I spent 2.5 years in Kuwait supporting our efforts in Afghanistan, and then we invaded Iraq from Kuwait, and I was there at Camp Doha for all of the ballistic missile attacks and the Abavilles and Frog missiles and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of an adventure, right? It was I really enjoyed my work. I believed in what we were doing. I did counterterrorism. That's what I had always wanted to do. I'd watched Lawrence of Arabia as a kid and kind of wanted to experience the Middle East, and it's just kind of one of those be careful what you wish for situations. And
yeah.
So after that 2.5 years, my wife and I, who did a very similar job to me, she was an intelligence analyst, we had to decide if we were going to go back to the Beltway and work in DC and kind of fight traffic twice a day and work in a cubicle, or if we were going to stay overseas and just kept kind of doing the war thing. And that's what we knew, so that's what we kept doing. And so we became civilians doing the same jobs that we had been doing. We went to Baghdad for over a year and a half, and that would have been in 2005, 2006, 2007 timeframe. And then we would come home for a while, and then we ended up in Afghanistan for about 6.5 years in Kandahar, Afghanistan. And that was my longest time. I was there. We were there consecutively for about 6.5 years.
Wow. Now, and through the wars, I mean, we hear it, through stories on documentaries, and we see horrible videos. And needless to say, I'm sure you saw some really crazy and disturbing things.
I think that when you first start out, you're idealistic, right? You're like, oh, this is a good thing we're doing. And, the more you're a part of it, the more you're in that machine, you realize that the enemy's just doing their thing. These guys aren't all just a bunch of evil human beings. They're just living the life that they think they should live. And There's civilians in the middle that get caught up in it. And then you start to realize the machine's also eating you up. It's eating your brothers and sisters and arms up. It's this, it is kind of this hard, dark thing. And, I was counterintelligence and I did intel and I did a lot of high level stuff. I did low level stuff where I was responsible for helping run asymmetric warfare operations for a unit. And, we decided who to capture and who to drop bombs on and when to do that. And so, yeah, it got darker the longer I was involved in it. And I started to see the humanity of us all. And that really, I think, wore on me as time kind of went on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that segues into the next question is where at this point did this shift happen from your exposure to war, then having this awakening?
So I came home, my wife and I came home after, I guess we'd spent out of the first 15 years of our young adult lives, we'd spent about 11 or 12 of those years in deserts overseas. And so we came home after those in like 2015, and I was lost. I didn't really have an identity outside of being in this subsystem, out of having this job. And, I had believed in what I did and I was dedicated to it. And so I didn't have an identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't even really know how to start. I knew I needed a heal, but I didn't really know how to start doing that. Mm-hmm. So I went to the VA for help and I got some help there. I got some help from a therapist that did Eastern modalities and taught me mindfulness. And I couldn't really wrap myself fully around that at the time. Like, it helped, but it wasn't something that I could really fully absorb.
Yeah.
And so I spent about 7 years just kind of lost, wondering with, not much structure. And I had PTSD and anxiety and depression and hypervigilance and OCD, all the things that come with, I have Gulf War syndrome and sleep apnea and all this physiological stuff that's just separate from the mental trauma. So I had to figure out how to heal from that and figure out where I was and who I was. And I would say about 2.5 years ago now, I had a moment of like really sharp, sudden understanding or clarity, might call it an awakening. And I kind of understood the oneness of the universe and that we're all connected. It was this very pantheistic idea that loving kindness. And I also understood what my higher purpose or my Dharma was, that I needed to help people kind of help themselves and find their wholeness within, find their light. And I wanted to be able to share my journey, have other people share theirs. And so that's why I decided to create a nonprofit online community. I felt like in that moment, I felt like there was this space in the digital age for authentic, meaningful connection, just like you and I are having a good conversation right now.
Yeah. And the Kishar spiritual community is this community that you've created, correct?
That's right. I founded it with my wife and then another friend of ours who we met in Afghanistan, and she actually grew up in the Balkans at war and then worked in Afghanistan. So she helps us with it as well.
Now, do you have a lot of, what is the percentage? Do you have quite a bit of so those who have fought, those who have been in the military? Take a looking on that.
Yeah, it's everybody that works on it was either in the military or worked closely with the military. My wife and I were both in. Our co-founder in the Balkans, she was a translator for Canadian forces and doing K4 stuff in the Balkans back in the 90s, and then went to Afghanistan as a way to find work for herself and to kind of get out of that part of the world. And we have a couple of other people that are involved that have been to war as well. So yeah, a lot of people that founded this have gone to war, have seen kind of the worst that humanity has to offer. But the membership of the community isn't that. We felt like there was plenty of stuff out there for veterans now. It's gotten a lot better in the last 20 years. And there's so many programs and nonprofits out there helping them. We really just want your average everyday person, driven professional, stay-at-home parents, whatever, to be able to find that alignment of mind, body, soul, and explore their spirituality and how that can help their day-to-day life.
Yeah, this is a very universal. I mean, this is for anybody, everybody. And not to mention too, not only, like I said, not only military, but we've got first responders out there that see and experience.
Oh yeah,
those. I mean, I've known people who worked in the prison systems that they are just whoa,
yeah.
just and firefighters, police officers, all kinds of first responders that also see and are looking for, a bigger purpose.
Right.
And it's
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
and it's great for first responders and military of the work that they do. Somebody has to do it, but
Right.
it does take a toll on those individuals.
Yeah, that low grade trauma that it's not even these high grade events that happen, which they do happen, but there's that low grade stress of never quite knowing what's going to be around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we navigate the spiritual path in this modern age that we're in right now?
I think we can slow things down a little bit. I think we have more time than we think, and when we kind of look around, there's all this noise around us. There's the noise of our streaming services, and there's the noise of our cell phone and our mobile devices, and it's good. I think it's great that we can have the sum of all human knowledge in our hand. That we can get on the phone and find anything out we want. That's really cool. And so technology is a beautiful thing, but then we also have to kind of be more aware and intentional about how we're kind of moving through the world and letting all this noise around us affect us. The headlines and the clicks and the stories. And I'm a very positive person. I have great faith in humanity. I think we're going to be okay. And I think that we need more awareness of that, in the modern age, that we're going to be okay. There's so many different ways for mass media and all this stuff to come into your life. You have to really be aware that that's happening.
Yeah, we really gotta have develop this level of discernment that all this stuff that we're exposed to, and I mean, luckily in the time that I had served, and and possibly in the future serve as well, that was a way. It wasn't that I was separated from technology. It was there, but I told myself, no, walk away from it. You can monitor it, but walk away. Do not do not engage.
Right.
Period. And it helped. And now when I got back from service, I feel different. I feel like I want to keep the engagement at a lower level than it was before.
Right.
But I got a job to do. I got this show to do, and I have
Sure.
to do it. Just not working as hard.
Yeah, I resonate with that quite a bit. Technology is a beautiful thing that we can use to help each other out, to help ourselves out. And so I think that it's a choice. And I found myself, after I kind of had my awakening, or my event a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, I realized, like, when I stopped arguing with strangers on the internet, or debating, because no one cares. Like, you're not going to change anybody's mind. Like, it's this tremendously more peaceful existence when you're not so worried about what other people think and what other people believe. And, we learn that we can kind of take care of ourselves first.
Yeah. And that's when so many people get upset, is when they engage with these online bullies.
Yeah.
These keyboard jockeys and stuff like that. It's like, dude, just step away. Don't engage. You can just walk away from the conversation, because they don't even know you're looking at it. So
no,
what's the point? No harm. Yeah. So what is so important about living your higher purpose, or Dharma?
For me, it's the key to life, really. I feel like each of us has our own unique higher purpose in this world, in this universe, this reality that we share with each other. And so I think our higher purpose, our Dharma, is, what do we love doing? What are we meant to do every day in this world? And how do we align that with our life? So I think if we don't know what our higher purpose is, can we discover that? And we can. How do we do that? And make that happen. And then once you kind of have an idea of what it is, how do you align that with your day to day? How do you live it? How do you go and make sure that the job that you do, or the hobbies that you do, or the spare time that you have, is aligned with that thing that lifts you up and lights you up? And that's going to make not just you better, it's going to lift up the world around you.
Yeah. Yeah. People can see that change when that happens to an individual. Yeah. They can see that change, and it's contagious. People start asking questions. What's going on? What happened? It's like,
That's it.
yeah, yeah. Um, so what should people expect when they go check out? And they can go check out your website at Kishar, KISHAR.org.
Right.
What can they expect?
So
How do they interact?
when they get to that page, that's our main page, they can find background out on who I am and who our co-founders are, what our values and beliefs are, which are very open, like you said, very universal in nature. Whether you're a Hindu or a Christian or an atheist or a New Age spiritualist, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You can come and show up, and we feel like we could not have to be lonely on this journey that we're on. And it's that, what we're presenting on our website and in our community, is we have the opportunity to have conversations on, rotating subjects throughout each day and each week and each month. And, we have affirmations daily and meditations and journaling prompts, things like that, can get people thinking, can help people figure out, okay, what's spirituality for me? If I don't know, how do I, and that's not going to be our choice. We're empowering individuals to find out what works best for them,
Yeah.
versus saying, hey, you got to believe this, or, definitely try that. It's recommendations, it's resources, but it's also about that intersection between our spiritual path and the real world. Most of us aren't going to be monks living in the mountains. So how do we take our spiritual path and intersect it with this day-to-day reality that we're walking through with everybody, so that
Mhm.
we're living grounded and centered in our kind of health and wellness and holistic approach to life, so that we are happy and healthy?
Yeah. Do you see that more people? I see it a little bit more in certain sectors of the community. Um, but do you see it more that this seems to be the first time in, I don't know, I guess modern history, where people are losing their fear of coming out and really expressing their feelings? Because I mean,
Oh,
when I was growing up, it's like, my my father, my grandfather, you got to be a man, you got to hold your
right.
your secrets in, you hold in your emotions, blah 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 blah. Do you see that this is changing, that more people are kind of
Yeah,
expressing their feelings?
I for sure think that we're moving to a more authentic presentation of ourselves. I think, it's a sliding scale and it's a work in progress. I think sometimes when people say they're being authentic, it's still like glammed up and camera angles and all that. That's okay. But I think we're moving towards authenticity and how we produce content and how we see people want to consume content. They don't want to get advice from some guru who thinks they're divinely inspired and is always in nirvana. They want someone who's experienced the world, who's seen stuff, experiences it with them. Uh, from anybody who's a spiritual advisor or a self-development person. Yeah, I'm a self-development person, not me, but anybody's like self-development person. They have problems. They have
Hmm.
bad days. They're not always connected, completely plugged into the divine. That's not how it works.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think authenticity is shining more.
yeah. More people are kind of opening up. I mean, not afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, and I think that's it, right? Self-care, self-love. We were taught in our society for a long time, and still today a lot, that we have to take care of other people first and be a hero for other people. But really, it all starts with the self. If we're going to change the world, we have to change ourselves. And if we don't
Mhm.
love ourselves fully and take care of ourselves, we're really no good to anybody else for anything.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, number one is the only individual that's going to take care of us, that has our own that has the best intentions, is ourself.
Yeah,
And yeah, we have that is the number one thing. And then we have the power to be able to help others.
that's absolutely true.
Um, and I believe that in all of this, realizing who are we really as an
Yeah.
individual? And I feel that this, in any and every spiritual community, that seems to be one of the common denominators, is realizing, having that awakening and Maybe that's the first question somebody has to ask is, who am I? Who am I really? I mean,
I love that.
I wake up every day. I've been given a name. I have a title. I do work. I do this. I do that. But who am I really?
Yes.
You know?
I'm a universalist, and I believe in like the validity of all religions and such, but and an omnist. But
Mhm.
within that, I also have my own beliefs under that umbrella, and I really subscribe heavily to a lot of Hinduism
Yeah.
and other stuff. But within Hinduism, there's that yoga. There's different types of yoga, and one of the yogic traditions is that question, asking it over and over again, who am I, right? And in
Mhm.
Ramana Maharishi, and he's one of the sages from the late 19th and early 20th century, and there's a whole practice built on asking that question, who am I? And
Yeah.
I'm not my name. Yeah, I'm not, like you said, I'm not my name. I'm not my job. I'm not my hobby. I'm not my relationship. So who am I under all that? I'm not what society has told me that I am, for sure.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah. So who am I under all that? Right.
Yeah, like Alan Watts said, it's all part of the game. We're all in this
Yeah.
game, and playing it. It's and trying to separate ourselves from that, and realizing what is our true power.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. We have tremendous
Yeah.
power. And I tell people from a practical perspective, magic isn't the supernatural thing.
Mm-mm.
Magic is natural. Magic is
Yeah.
just it's just the divine. It's just energy. It's just whatever, different cultures call it different things. But uh, we we know that if someone walks into a room full of people, we know that one single person that has positive or negative energy can walk into a room and completely change the energy of that room.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen. Each of us have seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Science can't explain that, really. But we know it. We know it exists. We know it happens. And that's how is that not magic?
Yeah, right.
How how is that not magic?
Yeah. Yeah. We're all energy. We're all made up of this energy and this infinite amount of energy
Yeah,
that is part of a collective, but it can be shared. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
amazing. Yeah, that's a show in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. It's
A
a
whole
whole it's a whole
whole
conversation for
episode.
sure. That is a whole episode.
Yeah. Um, what is the stream of unconsciousness?
That kind of tails in from what we were just talking about a little bit. That pull of society. We're told there's all these tribes in society that are competing for our attention. There's all these people in our life, that our teachers, our parents, our friends, our coworkers, our jobs, that have told us that we have to do this or can't do that. That we get pulled by society down the stream of unconsciousness. We're not aware of who we are. We're not aware of what we're doing. We're not aware of what our own values and beliefs are at our core. So the stream of unconsciousness pulls us downstream, kind of like the conveyor belt of life.
Mm.
Go get a job, go to college, have kids, get a spouse. So what if you step off that conveyor belt of life, or step out of that stream of unconsciousness and look around? It's pretty cool. Life's pretty neat. There's this beautiful stuff around you. And then you can ask yourself, okay, like, well, what do I believe? What do I need? What do I want? And then we're writing our own story instead of living someone else's story that they're
Yeah.
writing for us.
Yeah. It's like the Matrix. I believe.
It is. It is. I mean, it's the
I
same
believe.
concept.
Yeah. I've always believed, and I think I've heard it before. I actually believed it, but then it makes more sense that someone years ago made a comment that that movie, The Matrix, is not really a movie; it's a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's true. I mean, we know that. I mean, even if you're a scientist, like you take quantum physicists, like the father of quantum physics, Max Planck,
Yeah.
years ago, he said, science knows that consciousness exists. Science postulates consciousness. Everything that we see postulates consciousness. We can't prove it. We can't get behind it. We even believe in quantum physics that matter sits on top of consciousness. And he basically says he wrote a book called The Philosophy of Physics, and in it he's basically like, spirituality and religion may give us the answers that science cannot.
Mm.
And so I think it doesn't matter what you believe, or it's it's a we know that
that's
consciousness
magic.
is out there, and we know that even if we observe an experiment in science, some of the experiments we observe are changed by our observing them.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at like some subatomic stuff, so just the observation of that experiment changes the outcome of that experiment.
Yeah,
That's pretty wild. It's pretty wild stuff.
yeah. Just by observing can change the outcome. Yeah. Yeah, it just and some of the stuff that I've been hearing on some of the channels, some of the scientific channels and stuff, that science is starting to unveil in some of their discoveries in quantum physics, from consciousness to dark matter to the string theory to, I mean, all these theoretical physics and stuff like that, with that consciousness has a measurable value. Don't know what that is, but
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Man. So before we close off the show, what would you like to give as a takeaway for our audience today?
I always like to tell people that, like, don't try to be perfect as we're moving through this reality we all share. Like, perfection probably exists as this universal, maybe divine thing inside of us, right? But out in this real world that we're walking through, perfection is not a thing, and we don't have to be perfect. And I go back to, we talked about self-love and self-care a bit, but just love yourself. Take care of yourself first. Like, absolutely love yourself, and it's the least selfish thing that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that whole trying to be perfect or try to be everybody is a perfectionist at in some
Right.
form. That seems to be a habit that I've been trying to break for a very long time.
Same.
Until I become conscientious of it. And, all these OCD, this has got to be perfect. That's got to be perfect. The towels on the rack and the silverware here. And then, I mean, all kinds of stuff. Until I catch myself and go, whoa, hold on a second. That's going way too far. I'm like, really? Who cares? I live alone. Who cares if the towels are folded that way? I sure the hell don't.
Right.
But I'm pretending
Exactly.
to. Yeah.
That's a perfect example, actually.
Yeah. But so tell everybody where they can find you, and if there's anything coming up in the near future that they can look forward to.
Sure. Our website's kishar.org, KISHAR.org. It's the entrance to our community. We have really cool stuff. We have weekly like Zoom calls where we have spiritual roundtable discussions a couple times a week. Said we have daily conversations and chat, and we have courses and stuff on just being grounded and centered, and it's all part of the membership of the community. It's a nonprofit. All the proceeds go back into the members. We don't take a salary or anything like that. There's individual spiritual guidance and coaching. I call myself a spiritual guide, but I'm a transformational and higher purpose coach as well, and I'm here to help people. We also have a pretty cool YouTube channel, so people can check that out. It's at Peace on Your Journey, and our social media handles at Kishar Spiritual. And come check us out. Start a conversation, direct message, email. Join the community, whatever.
Absolutely. And I noticed on the homepage you've got a QR code that people can scan, and they can. I guess there's an app. Download the app on Google Play or Apple Store.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can navigate the community on a desktop browser. You can navigate it on a mobile browser, or you can just download the app, and it's an app, and it's just like using Discord or Facebook or Instagram, kind of, but just for a specific community that's got kind of walls with no trolls and no ads and that kind of thing. So
yeah, right on. Yeah, looking through here on the website here, it's kind of And then they can find you on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yep.
Cool. Awesome. John, namaste, brother.
Same, Paul. I appreciate the message you're putting out in the world as well. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. And we need more people like you, my friend.
Same for you.
A lot of teachers and people to that can help people get on the path, because a lot of people like that. There's plenty of people out there that are asking that question. What's my next step? I am looking for some sort of salvation, some sort of breaking free of whatever it is that they're suffering from. And the show is to help them, and you're here to help as well.
Absolutely.
So cool. Awesome. Thank you again, brother.
Thanks.
And for anybody who wants to go check out John's work, again, Kishar, KISHAR.org. Go. Everybody, thank you for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Seance, and we will see you next week.